Jeremy Whiston shared the dream. The 18-year-old was found hanged in his bedroom last October. He was, his parents say, devastated after being released from Manchester City Academy.
My name is Javen Palmer, I'm 26, I'm from Lewisham, South East London, and I was a forward at Crystal Palace Football Club for 10 years. I used to play for a Sunday League team called Sydenham Sports, and I ended up getting scouted by Palace. They invited me down for a 6-week trial, and then I ended up getting signed in the first 2 weeks. From a young age, some of the players that I played with or played against, Alex Iwobi is probably the biggest one, Chuba Akpom, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Casey Palmer, even Joe Gomez. He's a year younger than me, but he was also local because obviously I'm from Lewisham, he's in Catford. You could see some of the guys were going to be stars, so that also kind of gave me the drive to want to keep going and keep playing because the talent pool in the area was just so high. From ages 8 to 14 when I first got offered my scholar, every year you get end of season review, they say if you did well, they'll offer you another year. If you're lucky, when you get to 14, they'll offer you the scholarship early. I wouldn't say I was the best player in my team. I had some amazing players in my team, like Rita Lasani, Hiram Boateng. I would say I was up there though. I was definitely top 5. I was definitely up there. I was scoring goals, and I was a confident kid. Like, at that time, when I got to 14, in that particular season, we had an Italian coach whose name was Antonio Falanga. He's coached at Charlton, coached at a couple of other clubs, and he used to be in the military. And he used to say, Javen, you should be playing for England, I love you. And he used to give me so much confidence. And then one day, they called me in, they were like, Javen, you've had a good season. We want to offer you a scholarship now. And obviously I was excited, my family was excited. And yeah, man, honestly, it was good memories, man. Honestly, I don't have anything bad to say about that period of my time at Palace. There was about 5 or 6 players that got offered an early scholarship, then the rest didn't. So if you think about it, under 14s, you've been offered your scholarship, you've still got 2 more seasons to play, under 15s, under 16s, and then obviously you leave school and you go full time. In terms of like how it affected me, it made me stop caring about school, to be honest. That was the actual impact. Like, I was just like, I don't care about school anymore because I know I'm gonna leave school, do my GCSEs, and I'm gonna go full time. So school didn't really matter to me as much, and also I was getting day release, so if you don't know what day release is, that's when they let you out of school to go train. So I'd get to leave school and go train with the 18s or the 21s or the first team sometimes if I was lucky. But the biggest thing was going from training 3 or 4 times a week, or even 3 times a week probably at most, and then going every day. And like, that's like work, it's like your job. And I think the big change is football becoming something you love to do and a hobby to like, okay, now this is a job and I need to do my best because I want to make money and I want it to be something that I'm able to do for 10 or 15 years. At that time, we were still a championship club, so facilities weren't great. If anybody knows anything about Crystal Palace's training ground, it was tiny, there was like 2 pitches, only like 2 showers working. It was like, it was proper stuff at the time, but obviously we didn't know any better than that, so we loved it, we enjoyed it. If I'm being brutally honest, the worst thing that could have happened to the club was getting promoted. Dougie Freedman started as manager for that season, the championship. I remember Balassi was killing it, Wilfred was killing it. And then Ian Holloway came in as manager, like halfway through, and he obviously got us that promotion push. Once they got promoted, everything changed because the first team outgrew the club because the facilities weren't there, the gym was too small, the training ground was tiny, there weren't enough space for anything. Palace signed like maybe 12 or 14 players that season, like their first season in the Prem. At the time, we was all in the same training ground, right? Youth team, 21s, first team. And we'd be eating breakfast with first team players, stuff like that. Like I'd be sitting on a table with Will for Balassi or whatever, like, and we'd be eating or whatever. Once we got promoted that season, they wouldn't let us wear the same training kit as the first team. So at the time there was Nike training kit, We had some Next training kit. I even got pictures. I don't even know what the brand was. Honestly, no word of a lie. We trained at about, I want to say, over 10 different places within Southeast London. So like, we'd come in, we'd have to quickly eat breakfast before the first team players came in, get on a minibus and then go somewhere else. We're supposed to be concentrating on becoming the best footballers we can be, but we don't even have the facilities to do that. They would talk to us about, if you want to be a first team player, you got to be doing more than what the first team players are doing, which is fair enough, right? I got to be training harder than them. They would sit us in meetings, we'd do like going through video stuff, and they would be saying to us, yeah, boys, you boys need to be doing extra work. And I remember saying to the educational guy, like, how am I supposed to do extra work if you guys are telling us we need to get back on the minibus and come back here? And then when I go to the gym to do extra gym work, the strength and conditioning coach is moaning at me saying I can't be in there when the first team's in there. We come back from training and I'm like, I've got to do some extras, man. Obviously I'm a striker, so I go out on the pitch and I'm doing some finishing out on the pitch. And one of the assistant first team managers has come out and just started bollocking me, basically, started shouting at me for doing extras. So I've looked at him, obviously he's first team manager, I'm a youth team player, you can't really be too disrespectful. But at this point, I just knew that I needed to say something. So I looked at him and was like, well, like, where am I gonna get the opportunity to do extras? And he never really said anything. He's like, no, you're not supposed to be on the pitch. Those are for the first team players only, get inside. I was just so frustrated and thinking like, I'm coming here every day and I'm not enjoying it and we're getting treated like rubbish. Like we're not getting treated, we're not getting looked after. When I got to the end of my second year, I actually already knew that I wasn't getting a deal because I spoke to my agent before. I was like, I need to know, because if I'm not getting a deal, you need to start putting me to clubs so I can go on trial and whatever. And I remember he told me, yeah, like, they told us you're not gonna get a deal. Then I had the final meeting and they were just like, yeah, we just think this season it was unlucky for you. And at the time I'd suffered with quite a few injuries, so I did my hamstring, I had an issue with my knee. When I was playing, I'd score, but I wasn't playing enough, so I couldn't turn around and be like, well, I scored 15 goals or 20 goals, like, how can you release me or something like that. I didn't really have that ammunition. If I looked at the under-21s at the time, there was a lad called Ibra Sakaja. He actually scored the goal that kept Palace into the Championship when they were about to get relegated. And in the first team, you had Dwight Gales, you had Gailey, you had Marion Shamak, and you also had Glenn Murray, who the season before scored like 30 or 40 goals and he was on fire. So they were basically just saying to me that they don't really see how I'm going to break through all of that, and they'd rather kind of let me kind of go another way. I don't think it really hit me at the time because I had known before, but I still stayed at the club because they said like, I'm going to train and play as normal. The big thing that happened is we played a game against QPR. I scored, and I remember I got in my car and I could feel my knee, and I was like, something's wrong. And I got scanned and it showed that I actually tore my cartilage, I tore my meniscus, and I didn't even know. I was still playing with it. But I was saying to myself, well, I can't get surgery yet because I might have some trials coming. So if I get the surgery, I can't have the trials. I did something called the exit trial, and anyone that's played academy football will know about the exit trials, which is like a big trial in London. And that game, I scored like 3 goals. The LFE, so League Football Education, the regional manager, I remember he called me the morning after and he was like, Jav, you've got the most offers anyone's ever had to come on trial. I was like, okay. So obviously at the time I'm thinking, amazing. I looked at it, but really the exit trials, or these ones were, I don't know how they structured it, but a lot of it was obviously for educational programs or going to the States. There was a few pro clubs in there and there was a few non-league clubs in there. Now me, I'm 18, I'm ignorant. I didn't know anything about, I didn't really know about non-league. If I had known what I know now, I would have just gone to a non-league club and worked my way back up. But at the time, I'm looking at all these non-league clubs and I'm saying to myself, I'm not doing that. I'm at Crystal Palace, we're a Premier League club. The biggest club on the list was Brentford and Yeovil. The Yeovil guy was like, yep, we've got pre-season starting in 7 weeks. If you can get yourself fit in 7 weeks, come down. I speak to the surgeon. He's like, yeah, you can do the surgery. There's no guarantee you're gonna be ready, but you know, your body might recover quickly, you might be able to do it. And I was like, you know what, I can't really let this opportunity go. Did the surgery. So I went to Yeovil. Anyone who also plays football would know training on 3G or the turf, the 4G stuff, after you've had knee surgery is probably the worst thing you could do because that stuff is terrible. So we're training on that for pre-season, and my knee was like a balloon. Like I could barely train. This was when I would say it really hit me at the time that I actually got let go. And I remember just breaking down in tears, bro, like just tears flooding. That moment kind of was everything over the last 2 years, just swelling and coming to a boil, like just pop, like it was over, like coming, it was at 100 degrees, boiling point, done. One of my old coaches, his name's Ben Garner, he's now the first team manager at Charlton, actually. He was the only person that actually kept in contact. So he called me up, he's like, Jav, would you go to America? And I'm like to play first team football? He's like, nah, it's like a scholarship. You get to go uni, but you train like full time. And obviously over there, they treat college sports like professional. And the more that I was thinking about it, and the more I wasn't doing anything with my life, the more I was thinking, okay, this makes sense because I don't really struggle from an academic standpoint. So I know I can get a degree, but I'll still get to play football full time. And that was probably the difference between playing in non-league and going to the States. It was like, I didn't want to go non-league and just train twice a week and play on a Saturday. I wanted to train every day because I wanted to just get better. I think that getting better was important to me. After the 4 years in the States, I graduated, got my degree in sports management, and I came back. And I played non-league again a little bit, but I didn't really have that dying ambition to try and come up the leagues anymore. That desire just kind of left me. And I think one of the benefits for me kind of going away was that I recognized that football is actually such a small part of my life, and that didn't identify me. I was able to kind of recreate my own identity. So I got into fitness coaching, do like a sort of 360 sort of health service that covers people's training, nutrition, and also their mentality and helping them overcome like any personal issues and creating structure in their life. I'm able to just work full time from home. I control my own schedule, and honestly, it's been a blessing. And I would say a lot of the principles that I learned just from training, being around Premier League players, and a lot of that stuff is actually what I kind of condensed into my coaching and my online coaching program. Because even though for me there was a lot of negatives in that experience, there was a lot of things, a lot of positives as well that I learned. I would say to anyone kind of watching this, the main thing is don't be too ignorant. Don't be afraid to ask for help, and recognize that you're not alone. Because although sometimes in football you're in a bubble, you're in such a bubble, man, that's all you know. You need to recognize that there's more to life than football. And I think, yeah, you can give 100% to football, but developing some other skills around that will allow you to become a well-rounded human being when football's over. Because at some point, it's going to be over. It's very rare that you're going to play to 40 years old. So when it's over, you want to have all the foundations in place to know that you have the skills to be successful in all these other areas of your life, man. So communicate, be open-minded, don't be ignorant.